Hi everyone, welcome to day 3 in our sew along. Today I'm going to finish and catch up on everything that I didn't manage to finish during yesterday's sew along. So today we're going to go straight back to my little yellow dress. If you want to watch the other videos, all you need to do is go back a bit, and if you're watching from YouTube you can just go on the playlist, you'll find it there. And if you're watching on Facebook, well, you can just go into the unit and watch it there. This is the Virginia 1 to 2 up to 12. You can get the pattern in the Academy, where you'll also find the sew along and of course all the standard videos that went with this pattern. And well, let's get on with it straight away. The one thing I hadn't done yet was to stitch down my lace, which I'm going to put a blue thread at the top so that's not visible on my puff. I think if I put the tension up a tiny little bit, I won't have to change the bobbin. I can just have the blue on the top and leave the yellow on the bottom. That should be fine. On some sewing machines, especially cheaper models, you might have to actually, you know, change both. But on this one, I think you can do it quite nicely without having to do it, because sometimes it brings up a little bit of the lower thread and that won't be looking nice. It might not work on this either, but I'm gonna at least try it. And also good news, it's not so hot today, so I am quite comfortable in here. Right, so I'm gonna put this under and find myself a point on my lace which will be very easy to stitch through without it being noticed. Now you don't have to do any of the zigzag stitching. All you have to do is find a space which will allow you to sew straight through it. And here you can see that I can just sew through that little gap. So hold your lace steady and then just make sure that whatever you lined up with is going straight into your sewing machine. There we go. So no looking at the needle, just doing that. Look at that, you can't even see it. And now I'm going to do the other side as well. Again, not even starting very much at the front because it's just going to get stuck if I did that. There we go. Excellent. Sure, it's the same distance. Might be a good idea actually to start this side first, because that's the most obvious if there's a little error. Go over again. Super. The key is to get it under so that it's really nice and flat, your work, and you can, you know, do stellar job. There we go. I can see where it needs to lie, and then I can just let the machine go over it. I think pinning this first will actually make it more difficult. Ooh, lovely. Right, just a little sneak peek before we do the back, how that looks. Looks really, really nice. Look at that. It did come up a little bit here. But I think in the big scheme of things, I don't think it really notices too much. I think it's very, very pretty. So we are going to put that down to experience. I would actually say, because even I made a little whoopsie there, that it probably would be best to start on the back and not on the point that really everybody sees. Now I'm going to put the lace on the back as well. Make sure that the right side is facing up, and actually I will put a pin in here because it did slip. So long. It's almost like a live production here, so live and learn. I'm just going to put the pins though so they're not in the way, not along that way. I'm just going to go up here. Yeah. No, never mind, eh? Live and learn. All the way across. And then we're going to have a little compare of what worked better. I think pins worked better. So I eat my hat, as they say. Oh yeah, pins make it a lot easier. So that looks really good, people. So I think this will be okay. And I am still like checking out all my cameras, and I'm sorry, the one, I think the day 2, it was just blurry in parts. So I'm being super vigilant. I have all new cameras and, you know, spend a fortune on them, and I can't work them. Not the one that's filming me there, not the one that's there. Just the one I have from Sony that I've got for 10 years. That camera is brilliant. I never had an issue with that. So I'll pin my side seams together. Lovely jubbly. And then the other side, because now I've got some pins. I keep checking, is it actually like in focus? I'm paranoid now. I wish I was 25 and grown up with all the technology so I get it right, not after many mistakes, but straight away. I keep watching the YouTube videos of these people that say, oh, this is how it goes, you know, those are the settings, and they've been so helpful. Anyway, I wish somebody would come here. So if you ever come to LA and you're really good at this camera business to set this up, I'll cook you dinner. If you're new to LA, you need a good home cooked dinner and you know how it works, get in touch. All right, that was really for young people. Most of people that watch these videos aren't really young, but there we go. We're going to start sewing this together. 1 centimeter seam allowance all the way down. Now I'm going to iron the seams apart. Lots of steam. And while I'm here, cut off some more threads. Threads everywhere. On the other side as well. To put the ruffle together on both sides. And because this is so thick, I shall overlock it either side and then put the side seams together. Now that they're overlocked, I just have to put the sides together. Again, I'll do a 1 centimeter seam allowance. I'm just doing this with a pin so that I don't twist anything. You don't really need to pin this. Line up the edges. There we go. Twist the thing around. Go on over to the other side. There we go. Waste not, want not any thread. That's how it's done in an industrial setting anyway. You just go one piece after the other. People that know me know that I've worked in that environment for quite a long time. I did love working as a manufacturer for other designers, and I also loved testing for other designers, especially early on in my career. And what I mean is not PDF designers, it's clothing designers where a shirt, you know, it's like $300. So that's the kind of work I did, and of course had to be really good, and that was where I learned all my tips and tricks really. I do want a little bit more of this lace showing, so I've got the option of just attaching that there or having another strip up here, and I think it'll be overkill to have that there unless I do a tiny bit. What do you think? That would be nice, wouldn't it? So if I insert it into the seam, I think that would be very nice. So in order to do that, I have to cut into this lovely lace So I'm going to cut this off. It's about 1 centimeter that I'm doing here, quite evenly, right next to my design that's on here. Let's see if I've cut enough, because I don't want to waste any of this. Let's see if that would go to the other side already. Yes, it does. So back out comes my sewing machine, and I'm just going to start on one of the side seams. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. This is like exciting. I love this. I love this pattern too. Right, so what I'm doing is I'm overlapping it a little bit on the seam here, and that will turn down and then sit over it. Oh, that is beautiful. So make sure that the right side is facing the underneath. Ha! That would have been the wrong way around. So there we go. There we are. The rough side faces down. Put it underneath your sewing machine and make sure that it's at the same level the way round, so that when it hangs down, it's actually the same everywhere. There we go. And in my case, that's just on this line here. You can see this line here. That's what I'm lining up with. Which is foot width on this side, so I line it up both ways, so to the side as well as that bit. But what's more important is when I sew it together with my gathers, that I'm just going slightly up from that, halfway, and that way it'll be absolutely perfect. So, and that is a little trick. So at the end, don't forget, it comes down like that. So what you want to do is just let this go over that bit, or you could sew it together, but I think I'm just gonna do it like that, right? So I fold one over and then just let this overlap a little bit, and then I can cut this bit off. And there we are, we've got the lace in. I love this. So when this folds down, it's going to be super cute like that, and then you gotta have the ruffle underneath it as well. I need to overlock all the way around, and then I'm going to turn it up 3 centimeters and stitch it through. Done. Now I'm going to take my ironing board and I'm going to just iron up. I think that a really good turn up is sort of 2.5 centimeters. There we go. So yep, so you can just sporadically check yourself to see whether you've turned it up right. I don't ever pin this sort of stuff, especially not with fabric like this. There's no need for it. To be fair, it's on very rare occasions I actually measure it. I've got like this kind of measure in my head as to what I turn it up, and it is 2.5 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is just quickly go around like that. I'm like a hawk when it comes to measurements. You know, I can just look at something and say that's 0.8 centimeters. But I think that's after a long time. It's any carpenter will be exactly the same. They're just like, oh, yep, that's that much. So now I've done the ears, looking all good. I go back onto my sewing machine and I will do my hem. Now, most of you know how to do a hem. And any beginner watching this, this is what you want to do. Right, the first thing is that we want to see where we want the edge to be. And if you have 2.5, if you put it on 2.5, obviously you're going to slip off the edge. So what you want to do is do 2. And on your sewing machine, you're very likely that where your bobbin case ends, so that's exactly 2 centimeters. You also see that most sewing machines here have numbers on them. That's for 1 centimeter seam allowance and 2. So all you have to do when you're sewing is line up with this line. So don't look there, just there. Okay, and then also you want to put your stitch length up to 3.5, and all I have to do is line those up. There we are. And it will catch if you've done it right. So don't look at the needle. In fact, you could do this. Yeah? No need to do it at all. Your eye is just on this point. Ta-da! Okay. Don't fall. Now then, because we've already done it with pinning it in first, on this one, because it's very obvious what goes where, because we have got two seams on either side, you can't really go wrong. And I have got my marker in here that this is my front, but just in case that I forget it, I am going to put a line here. So I know that way with a little arrow is my front. Okay, so now I'm going to pull from the underside, and the reason I pull from the underside is very simple. It's because number one, it just pulls better, and number two, that's also the side that we're going to see when we are going to pin this in to the skirt, right? So it makes good sense to pull the under threads. They're also, the bobbin threads are always a little bit looser anyway, so it's easier to pull them. I wouldn't say that it's like terribly important, but it's just one of those things that maybe you don't know, and now you do. And all I have to do now is find my gigantic arrow, which will show me right there, which is the front, which goes on the front. So I know that goes on there, right? So I can just stick this on. Now, there we go. That's the right amount. So I'm going to stick this in. Figure of 8 on this side. One stretching it out, and I can see exactly what I need to do. This is exactly twice, I think, twice the amount of the front width and the back width, so that's a slight gather. And then the first little dress, I've got more than that. I've got 3 times the amount, which is the really good amount of gather. So that is something that you can take as your rule of thumb. If you want a light gather, you do 3/4 of what you've got in width again, so it's not quite as big again. If you want a decent gather, which is what I'm doing here, so you can see that's not a bad gather, then you can take twice the amount. Well done to myself, there's nobody else to say it, so put this on, and then we can stitch it all the way around. I've only got 2 pins in here, which means I have to get this right, and I'm going to sew it very close to the top edge there, simply so that I can afterwards sew on that side, on the other side, put my stitch length onto 3.5. So hold it taut on that side, and here I can see I can have some more gathers over there, so that's nicely sorted. If you have the tension on there, you can really disperse your gathers with some very good accuracy, and then you sew them in. Now I've removed the lower thread, I've actually left the top one in, and then I cleaned it all up a bit and serged or overlocked it, so it's all looking good. And I can just shake this out a bit. Let's have a look. Ta-ta-da! It's actually really, really pretty. And if you have a look here, you can see it's fairly even. Now, if I said, oh, actually, I don't think I caught it right. If that's your problem, that some is like that, some is like that, nothing easier than to fix that now. Really, don't be scared of this, because when we do the top stitching, we can just roll it down to the point we want. And I'm actually gonna roll it down a little bit myself, because I think that looks way nicer than that, right? So yeah, I think it's all good, isn't it? So back to the sewing machine. Let's do this last little bit on this dress. Fine, the side seam never start on the other seam. 3.5 is already there, so all I have to do now is have this nice and flat. I haven't even ironed it yet, and I'm just going to push that top layer to the point where I actually want it to sit. And I also need to make sure that I line it up with the same point on the presser foot so that it's even Steven all the way around. So I'm rolling it down to here, right, that point, and then I'm looking at my presser foot, and this edge here should be sort of there. And I work my way around, and I can now perfect this if it hadn't come out all perfect to begin with. And one of the important things is you really don't look at that needle. That is not where your eye is going. Brilliant. Lovely. We're done. I am chuffed to bits with this. This is gorgeous. Just like that one. Man, that is lovely. So that's it for today. Don't forget, tomorrow we have no sew along. It's a catch-up day, so anybody that hasn't started yet can get everything to the stage that we've got here, which means got everything together but the actual sleeves, which we will be doing together then on our day 4. So I'll see you in a couple of days. And I hope you enjoyed this. And again, all the YouTubers that are watching this, the links are below in the description where to get the pattern. And also, don't forget that the Sewing Academy that I have has got loads of free video courses where you can learn how to sew. And then for every pattern I do, you've got umpteen videos as well, both here on YouTube, but then also you've got videos that you don't get on YouTube. They're much more detailed, especially the newer stuff that I've done, so sort of intricate courses for bolero jackets and that sort of thing. So anyway, without further ado, I'll beg you good night, and I hope you had a lot of fun watching this. Bye for now.